Hello friends. Today Snuggles and I will be sharing a story with you called I Know Who My Prophet Is, written by Omer Baldic and illustrated by Ahmed Keshken. It was a warm autumn day. The sun was smiling at the earth. The tree branches and their leaves accompanied a mild breeze in a playful dance. Everything was in harmony. Everything was calm. Butterflies with their colorful wings fluttered around the flowers. After flying for a while, they perched themselves on a flower and rested. It was as if they were asking people to watch their beautiful wings. The bees were much faster than the butterflies. They buzzed furiously around the flowers without pause or break, collecting nectar to make honey for us people. Mustafa was very delighted to watch all of this. His parents' idea to have a picnic sure was great. Mustafa looked around. The green grass, grazing sheep, the graceful river, the shining sun, the blue sky, the snow-white clouds, the butterflies with their colorful wings, the bees buzzing around like workers. Everything was so beautiful. Then Mustafa looked at the ground. He was surprised at what he saw. There were hundreds of little ants. They were very small. But just like bees, they were moving very fast. They were organized like soldiers. Mustafa began to follow the line of ants. They marched with one purpose, marching in single file. Some of the ants were carrying big pieces of food. Mustafa wanted to help them, but they didn't need any help. If one ant couldn't carry its food, another would immediately run to help. Finally, the ants which were carrying food came to a sand pile. They carried the food into a hole in the middle of the sand pile.
They must store their food in an underground place, Mustafa thought.
Mustafa was surprised at the organized way all the ants worked. They were acting as if they were taking orders from a big boss. It was like every ant knew its duty. Then he thought about all the other creatures. Everything performed its duty perfectly. The sun rises every day. The bees build their honeycombs. The cows give milk. The hens lay eggs. And the clouds carry rain to the plants. Mustafa asked himself,
What about people? Do people perform the duties they're supposed to? People are much more powerful than ants. We have hands, we can pick a flower with our hands, but we can water that flower too. We have fingers, we can burn a whole forest down with a match. But with the same fingers, we can also write beautiful books. Yes, people have wisdom. When we use our wisdom, we become more powerful than all other creatures. When we are good, we are so much better than animals. But when we are bad, we are so much worse than them. That means we humans need a teacher more than bees and ants do.
This last sentence made him think deeply. He wanted to share these thoughts with his father. He said,
Dad, I was wondering.
And he told his parents what he had just been thinking. His mother listened to him with pride. Mustafa's father said,
You speak of great things, Mustafa. You are right. We need a teacher more than other creatures. But don't forget that we have a teacher.
Mustafa did not understand. He looked at his mother's face. His mother gave him a clue. We call that teacher the Prophet, she said. Until then, Mustafa had never thought of the Prophet as a teacher. He asked his father to explain. His father said,
A prophet is a messenger from Allah. This means that the prophets give us the messages they receive from Allah. Allah sent many messengers to different places at different times. Adam, Noah, Musa, Ibrahim, Isa, and the last prophet, our dear Prophet Muhammad, were all messengers. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of them. Prophets guide people to the right path and teach them how to be good. They tell us Allah's commands. They set an example for us to follow. We learn what is right and wrong, good or bad, useful or harmful from Allah's prophets.
That is very interesting, said Mustafa, carefully listening to his father's words.
His father continued, Think of the whole world as a school, and all the people as the students of that school. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the teacher of that school. He helps us come to know our Creator.
Mustafa's mother also joined the conversation. Think of the world as a palace, and all the people as the guests of that palace. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, teaches us how to behave in this palace. If we learn the rules of living in the palace, Allah, the Sultan of the palace, will invite us to another palace, the Palace of Paradise.
What do we have to do to go to the Palace of Paradise?
Mustafa excitedly asked his father.
That's a very good question, Mustafa, his father replied. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave the answer to your question. In order to be able to go to paradise, we must do good deeds. We have to know our duties and work just as ants and bees do. We have to believe in one God, Allah. We have to thank Him for all the blessings He has given us. We have to obey the commands and rules of the Sultan of the palace.
Mustafa's father remained silent for a while. Then he continued.
Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was pure goodness. He did good deeds every day to set an example for us to follow. Whenever he saw a child, he would smile and pat them on the head. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, never hurt anyone. He helped people and taught them good things. He was always honest and prayed to Allah alone.
The conversation was over, for the sun was setting. It was leaving Mustafa and his parents in order to give light to other lands.
What you told me today reminded me of a poem Grandma taught me,
said Mustafa. His parents wanted to hear it. Mustafa began to recite.
When you read a book, you ask for its author. When you see a building, you seek a builder. Are heaven and earth without an owner? When one thinks, one understands. That everything proves there is a great and mighty. It is our duty to Allah to ask and know our Creator. It is the religion that teaches us this duty. He guides us to truth and goodness. Always remember that Islam is based on thinking. Allah sent us a holy prophet and also the Quran. Through these two, He tells us what is right and what is wrong.
His parents clapped their hands. They both kissed him. Together, they packed their things and placed them in their car with joy. Then Mustafa and his parents got in their car and left the picnic grounds. Mustafa turned and looked back. It had been a beautiful day. He learned a lot of things about our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The next day would be a very different one for Mustafa. The end. Thank you for sharing today's Read Aloud with Snuggles and myself.